the fact of the matter is, like, if this guy used to be your boss, then I guess he's always your boss. But also, Chrissy thinks again. Melton doesn't even know what the he's talking about, and either does whatchamacallit, either does Gavin. So again, Chrissy's a New York-based comic. Gino's a New York-based comics. They're nothing in the New York comedy scene, and that's pretty hard to do. Ray DeVito, another guy, been in New York for decades, doesn't exist really as a comic. So Gavin and Melton are just conjecturing on like what they think is happening. But Chrissy doesn't make any money doing comedy, either does Gino. So he thinks that they thought, I don't know what he thought, but they don't know what they're talking about. Like Chrissy was not a popular, he doesn't exist as a comic or as a podcast personality. So she can build a huge house, and it's just for a studio and start her own company, and nobody would give a shit. That's the problem. Like whatever Ray does, nobody cares. Nobody, unless he's talking about honey baked ham. Gino used to have the thing with Aaron Burke, but then Aaron Burke quit, and then that was the end of the In Hot Water. Chrissy's never even had that. Chrissy's never even had a honey baked ham or an In Hot Water show. So Chrissy's just the whole thing of like, Chrissy and maybe Cumia goes to her house and she built a studio. It doesn't matter. But I'm going to build a studio anyway. But they all think they're all still dick riding Cumia, like as if he's going to help them. He won't. And even the fact that he's trying to get, he got Norton on, he got that Lionel on. He's not going to be able to get guests. He wants to get Dan Soder on. Dan Soder's not going to do his show on WABC. He ain't going to do a show. That's a fact. So, but they all still, put Cumia on a pedestal. And maybe Melton should talk to Cumia. Didn't Cumia have problems with his face, his acne? Prepubescent acne. Is that how you say it? But Melton has post-pubescent acne. Anthony Cumia's, and I'm being nice because I'm tired and it's the holiday week. Maybe I'll do a show where I just eat ham. Anthony Cumia's whole life has been about being naughty. He's always been a cheater, liar, but gets away with it because some people think he's fun. Ran out of letters. Listen. I mean, the best part was Cumia saying that people in show business shouldn't be given their political takes. That's his whole show now. Cumia is known for doing Dice Clay. I mean, even if he gave his political takes as Dice Clay, that would be way funnier than the show is now. Cumia's political takes, first of all, they're pretty obvious and predictable. They're the same take everybody takes in his position. Like the sexual deviance in Hollywood. You mean like Jim Norton? But Cumia is worried about the sexual deviance in Hollywood and that actors shouldn't give their political takes. But Cumia should. Cumia, do it as Dice Clay, and then people would be entertained. But Cumia talking as a regular person, giving political takes, nobody wants to hear it. The fact that Horsey Mayor still worships this guy just shows you how bad her daddy issues really are. She does a feminist podcast for women, allegedly. Are they okay with making? Yeah, she was agreeing with everything Cumia said about Cumia's anti-women, and Cumia doesn't think women should get maternity leave, but Chrissy's somehow a feminist, and but she had a dick ride Cumia. It's sad. That's why. Listen, again. I'm in a decent position. I'm not saying I'm in a great position, but I'm in a decent position because I'm not at the mercy of anybody other than Permaseal. I'm not at the mercy of anybody. So if my show fails, it's like I don't have a payroll. I don't have to pay people. So if I start making less money, I'll be like, okay, I'll manage because I'm making more than I used to make, even when I was doing good. So meaning even if my money goes down, I know Mel's probably counting it. Even if my money goes down, I'll be fine because the last couple of years have been very, very good. So if I did have money problems before the last couple of years, I'm doing okay now. So if my money goes down from here, I'll be okay. I don't have a big payroll. I don't have Compound Media studio. I don't have a Gas Digital studio. I didn't just build a studio like Chrissy Mayor. So again, no one's gonna watch Chrissy Mayor's show because of the studio. So it's all insane. But I don't have to worry about paying all these people and be like, hey, business is down. If my business goes down, I'll manage. I still can't get over Frank Pellegrino's low testosterone voice on the Horsey Mayor interview. Remember when she, yeah, it was weird. When I heard him talking, I'm like, is that Frank? He seemed, well, he's intimidated by Cumia. And listen, to be fair, Cumia did them a favor by going all the way up there. He didn't want to. So they had to be nice to him. But Cumia probably felt guilty because Chrissy's not doing well, and they just had a baby. So that was probably his wedding gift to them, is to go up there. Chrissy probably made some money. Can we find out how much money Chrissy made on that's Friday, right? Yeah, I'm guessing the net or the gross is probably, I don't know. The net is one show, one big show does not make a difference. That's just not, I mean, even though we made $1,500 on Super Bowl Sunday or like $1,800 when Steel Toe was on that show when his wife got arrested, it's like, yeah, that's good, but one show does not make a month, does not make a year. It just doesn't matter. So even if they did well, that Friday show with Cumia, I stopped watching, but I'm sure they did okay because people felt like, I will give Chrissy some money. And then actually Frank said in the chat, because I was watching it when it went live on my phone, and Frank said in the chat, if you send $50 super chats, you go right to the front of the line, which he basically stole from me, even though it's common sense. People pay $50, they go right to the front line. So he's basically saying, hey, send $50 super chats, and because that's what we're looking for. Gavin pretended that he cared about the people he fired. Cringe. If Trump had never been elected, they wouldn't have a show. Hashtag boomers. Gavin likes to pretend. Gavin likes to pretend like people like him, and as he's shocked that Chrissy doesn't like him. She doesn't want him to go to her house, even though Chrissy got fired by Gavin. And then when they were because at one point Chrissy and Gino thought Gavin was gonna hire them, but then he made them a onerous offer, and they were like, no, thank you. So, but it's funny that Gavin tries to pretend he's a real likable guy, and he's shocked that Chrissy doesn't like him, and she doesn't want to. And Chrissy told a story. She used to do Christmas cards with Gavin, and then I guess she told that story, and do you send Christmas cards? And then she texted Gavin to confirm his mailing address, and he said, send it to my office or something. I don't know. It's all weird, man. Show business is weird. Comedy's weird. Everybody's weird because everybody thinks like, hey, well, I'm cool. You're cool, right? We're all cool. And then, of course, and then you find out people aren't, and you're like, hey, I thought we were cool. So I'm under the working premise that nobody's cool, and I don't expect anyone to be cool with me, and vice versa. Did Horsey Mayor do January 6th just to get Daddy Anthony's love, and he still fired her? That's not a bad take. Yeah, I mean, she used to, like Pat Dixon said, she used to be liberal, and then I think she went to January 6th to probably impress the big man. And again, he don't give a shit. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. So it didn't make any dollars. But Chrissy was at that point trying to expand her fan base or whatever. So I think she mostly did it so people watch her show. But I'm sure she was like, I'm going to January 6th, because even when I asked her, when I snuck into the studio day and Chrissy called in, or no, I was Gina was skiing, Aaron Berg was hosting. There was a black guy sitting next to me. It wasn't Larry Baya. And then Chrissy called in because she said that I had said on my show or something that I heard Chrissy was January 6th. And then Chrissy said, or maybe something about SD, something. And Chrissy's like, yeah, you don't know I was at January 6th or whatever. And I'm like, Chrissy, you tweeted it out. You took a video of you being at January 6th. Are Horsey Mayor's feminist guests okay with her making degrading comments about women just to impress Anthony? Listen, man, these people are all, there's a sense of desperation. These people are like, when women get to be like 45 or 40 or depending on where you live. If you're 40 in New York, it doesn't matter. But let's say you live in like Mississippi or Tennessee and you're 40 and you don't have a husband, there's a sense of panic sets in. So Horsey Mayor, if that's what you were calling her now, Horsey Mayor knows that like things are not going well for her. So she thought Compound Media would help her. She thought January 6th would help her. So at this point, she'll try anything. She'll agree with Anthony. And again, the fact that nobody disagrees, even listening to Norton last night, I mean, there's a couple of times Norton could have just disagreed with Cumia, but he just chooses not to. So they all choose not to disagree with him. Cumia mocked podcaster Sunday for not having recent stories. He did? Cumia mocked podcaster Sunday for not having recent story. His were 15 to 75 years old. He's good at a hang, but is scripting his show and has zero guests. He's good at a hang, but is scripting his show and has zero guests. Yeah, they're talking about Jesse Ventura. And again, he does the Jesse Ventura because he does a good Jesse Ventura. So the first night he did WABC. Now I want to hide my thing too. The first night he did WABC, he was talking about Jesse Ventura and the conspiracy theorist and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, why is he talking about that? And I'm like, oh, because so he can do the impression. I mean, everybody's a hack, and so is Cumia. Cumia, he's like, hey, I'll talk about Jesse Ventura. Nobody cares about Jesse Ventura. Yeah, but they're talking about these old stories. And the fact that people are still talking about Norton. The fact that people are still talking, the fact that people are still talking about that Jesse Ventura clip with Norton just goes to show Norton hasn't done anything in 20 years. He hasn't had a memorable moment on that show in like 20 years. Between Jim and Sam and at least the last 10 years. When's the last memorable moment? Remember that lawyer? What was her name? And she got mad and she walked out. What was her name? She was on Jim and Sam, and that was what is it? Anybody know? That lady? Somebody said send Gallagher to the link. Nancy Grace. Yeah, Nancy Grace. They had a thing with Nancy Grace, and she stormed out. But that was it. And that was like 10 years ago, because that was when I was first doing the show. So the fact that nothing happens in the Norton, him and Cumia a lot alike. They don't want trouble. Opie likes trouble. These guys did not want trouble. I'm not going over these old stories. But again, the people listening to WABC are old. I just found it a hard listen. Maybe because I can't see. Not because I'm blind like EGN or Brian McCarthy. I just can't see. So it's really hard to snipe it. Cumia thinks he's Don Corleone gathering favors.